Hi, welcome back. My name is Anna, and welcome to my first reading vlog of 2025, where I will be reading Alexa Ray's best reads of 2024. Now, Alexa Ray is one of my favorite booktubers. She always gives good recommendations, and I want to start off my year really strong since I am planning to read 150 books this year, and the only way I think I want to get through that is if I start off really, really high. So we're going to start off with the physical books that I have, which are two. So I'm going to reach over and pick them up. Now, the first one I have is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And this is book one of the Folk of the Air series. And so one of the reasons why I chose this is this has been on my physical TBR for a really, really long time. And I guess seeing another booktuber reading this was like the push I needed. And then I actually got this in the mail yesterday because I've been seeing this book cover all over booktube, booktok, and I think it's really beautiful. And so I went ahead and purchased it because I want to read more physical book this year. Also, I'm not given any synopsis per se about these books because for the most part, even though I have some idea based on what um based on synopsis given from other people, I like to go into the book completely blind because usually when I read a synopsis, I tend to expect what's on the synopsis to happen, and sometimes that's not the case. But this is book one of the Belladonna series. So we're gonna start off next with, and I'll insert pictures. This will be Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. Not really sure. Really don't remember. So I think I'm not sure if this is a part of a series. Don't quote me. These are just I just picked a few books that I saw on her list that I really liked. And I guess this follows enemies to lover, a socialite, witch, and a witch hunter. And then I want to read, I think, A Drowning in the Study. I'll put the picture here. Guys, I'm doing this completely from my head, so don't come for me. And this is by Ava Reed. And so the last book we'll be doing is Binding 13 by Chloe Welch, which is, I think, book one of the Boys of Tillman. So grab your popcorn or something, grab a book, and sit back and enjoy. And let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you have, let me know what you thought. Did you like them? Would you recommend them? And enjoy. So it is the next day, and I am 32 pages in, and I'm loving this book so far. I love the idea of Signa being able to see death and how she can't die. That's not a spoiler, by the way. That's something that happened that like the very first chapter in the book, and how death seems to follow her. And I love that she's able to see ghosts. Now I do want to read more, and that I'll get to that like later tonight. But I do have 2,500 words to write today for my novel. So when I get some writing done, make dinner, and then I will give you an update. So it has been a while since I have updated this video. I'm still reading this. At some point last night, I was tempted to probably change it to A Study in the Drowning. Not because I had any issues with a Belladonna, because I'm really enjoying it, but I'm a bit of a mood reader and I was feeling for something else. But I knew that if I changed it, chances are when I got back in, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much because whenever I distance myself from a book and then try to get back into it, sometimes I either have to reread it or something along that line. But now we are at 202 pages, meaning that we are definitely over the 50% mark in the book. And as someone, I did literature in high school. I loved writing poems and stuff. And some of my favorite poems in high school were any poems that debt was personified. I love the personification of debt. And I think that Adeline does it perfectly in this book. But for some reason, I don't know if any of you watch Supernatural and have gotten to the season where debt is involved. Whomever plays debt in this book, or the character of debt, kind of reminds me so much of the person who plays debt in Supernatural. And I'm loving the little banter that's going on between Signa and debt. Definitely loving it. I love that. I love that it has like a kind of supernatural mystery going on, as you probably, this isn't spoiled because it's on the blurb. So Signa has to find out who basically killed the relatives that she's currently staying at. And I love that whole little mystery and how her and Det is getting closer, and how I love when Det is humidified basically. And he has that, you know how people try to make it seem that debt is a bad thing or a bad person, but he's just doing his job. And Signa doesn't let him forget that. And I love that he's showing her that he's not ashamed of what he does, basically. And I'm definitely loving that. So I will be giving you like a final update once I'm done reading this book, and then we're moving on to either Blinding Church, Binding 13. I don't know why I say blinding, Binding 13, or I might pick one of the other books. I'm really not sure what I'm feeling for yet. So I didn't finish reading Belladonna as promised yesterday. The entire week was very exhausting, very productive, but very exhausting. It is Saturday, and I don't know, it is snowing. And there's no other time to read than when it snows. So I'm now at page 307. So we have around 96 more pages to go, and I know this has mystery because Signa is trying to find out who killed her latest relative and all that. And it has a little bit of a love triangle ish in it. I love those. And then this thing with her and Det, you're kind of getting a little slow burn. Will they? Won't they? So, like, there's this. You can know that there's an attraction between Signa and Det, but at the same time, I love that the author isn't forcing an attraction between them. I don't know. I would love to say it's slow burn, but it isn't slow burn because you don't know, and I don't know if they will end up together. And the way how she writes it is you want to root for them to be together, and at the same time you're like, I will be just as fine if they don't end up together, and I'll be just as happy if they do. I don't know. So I'm really, really loving this. And I love that death is a big part, as in death, the person is a big part of the book, and people dying is also a big part. But I love how that's not the main focus. Because when I'm reading, I'm not thinking about all the people. It's also how Signa is, it has that little coming of age thing. It's also how Signa feels like she doesn't belong anywhere. In the first place, in a long time, that she finds somewhere that she thinks she belongs. I love seeing that she's fighting for what she wants, even if what she wants won't want her. So I'm definitely loving this, and I can't wait to be done so I can, no, I'm lying. I don't want it to be done, but I know it will eventually. So yeah, next time you see me, I'll definitely be giving you like my final review. But and then there's Death Waits for Her. Death waits for no one except her. Mm. And now, like, I wanted to like highlight. There are a few quotes in this that I wanted to highlight, but I didn't. Like, I started using Notion, so like write them down. Like when I annotate books, it kind of takes away from the reading for me. I normally annotate books when I'm doing like a reread, so I definitely would have to reread this. And this is feeling like Divine Rebels all over again. So I'm at page 272, and I know I said the next time you see me, it will be like when I did my final review, but from like the first few pages in, there was someone in the book that I was a little bit suspicious about. And you see, when I read books, like I'm that person, I can watch a show, like I could just start watching a show and I could know like the plot immediately. And from day one, there was this person I was really suspicious about, and 372 pages in, and like even though I suspected, I was like, I'm so surprised, like, because I got the audiobook on Audible because I had some credits because I making lunch, and I was like, I screamed out in my kitchen. I'm surprised that my mom didn't come down here. Like I literally screamed because like I'll see you guys within the next 33 pages. So I did finish reading Belladonna, and I'm happy to say that this is my first 5-star of 2025, and I am going to order the second book because I have the second book on Libby, which I'm going to read sometimes next week because I have to see what happens next. I have to see. Like, I love the writing. Like, I love puns, and I love the use of puns, and I love, like, I just love Signa and Death's relationship, and I love Death. I never thought that's something that I would say, but I love him. So I'm gonna read A Study in Drowning next, and then yeah. So I'm 19% in, which is basically 57 pages. And A Study in Drowning basically follows Effie Sayer, and she is an architect, architect, architecture student. However, she wanted to go into literature, but in this world, women are not allowed. So she basically settled to go into architecture. And so what end up happens is our favorite author, his family wants to restructure his house or his mansion, and so she basically applied to do that, and she got in. So now we see her going there. I also love the world. However, I'm not really feeling the book, to be honest. So I'm gonna read until I get to at least 25%, and if I'm still not liking it to an extent, then I'm just gonna start reading another book, to be honest. I'm at 49% in 187 pages according to my Kindle. And I said I would have stopped at like if I didn't like it, I would have stopped at the 25% mark. Right, so there are a few things that I should mention. There is, I don't know, what do you call it? Trigger warnings or whatever. So this book deals with, so our main character Effie, she's not really she hasn't really spoken much about it, but it does come off as SA. And if I had known that this book had any mention of that, I wouldn't read it. Now, I don't have a problem reading a non-fictional book about someone who's essayed. In fiction, I really don't want to sit down and read about real life issues that are happening to real life women, to be completely honest. So we are still seeing, so she was sent there to basically redesign her favorite author's mansion now that he's passed away. There hasn't been much of any designing. She has been sidetracked with Preston. That's a literature student. They're trying to uncover the truth about, his name is Mildred. However, to be honest, this book seems very flat at almost 50% in. Nothing much has happened. The only reason I'm still reading is there is this underlying fantasy part of it as to whether or not the world has or doesn't have magic. But I still don't know anything about Effie. And I'm really glad as well that this is told from the third person point of view, because I think she's a very flat FMC, to be honest. Also, I don't know, there's a lot of issues that she has, a lot of issues, personal issues going on, none of which is really mentioned, to be honest. Now, I like the fantasy element of the novel, but I don't really like anything else about it. The writing is very beautiful. As someone who loves literature, I love the writing. The writing is very beautiful and it's descriptive. And I like the whole fantasy part of the world. And I love books that talk about saints. So I'm gonna finish, the next time you see me, it will be when I finish and I give this like my complete opinion, because it's easy to judge a book like 50% in. But I think that there's a lot that still needs to be explained. And since I really like the fantasy element, I'm gonna finish it and just give you like my final thoughts on why I thought what I thought earlier. So I did finish reading A Study in Drowning. And at first I thought I was gonna rate it like 3 stars, and then I was like, no, this feels like a 2.5. Now there's a lot of, separate and apart from the whole slight essay thing, there's a lot of misogyny in this book. And I just believe that when you're writing books about that, I think that you should have trigger warning, because you don't know what readers in the past have been affected by this and could be triggered. Also, as much as I don't read the back of the cover in terms of like the synopsis, and this isn't mentioned in the synopsis at all, I read trigger warning. Whenever a book has trigger warnings, I read trigger warnings. They're just something that I I I don't want to sit down and read in a book. And I just believe that it should have those. Also, the whole, and I hope I'm not spoiling for anyone, but the whole history around, or folklore around the fantasy of the world, there was so much doubt put into the fantasy of this world that I end up not believing that any fantasy exists in this world, even though it does. Now, I stick through it because I was hoping that, there was this whole thing about the fairy king and all of that. But I think the book was so much more focused around the author. I think is met, I don't even remember the author's name, who Effie's favorite author. The book was so focused around him and his life and whether or not he wrote the book that he's so famous for. And then I don't know, I went in wanting to like this book, but I didn't, and it's a 2.5. And my birthday is in a few days, and I want to spend some time crocheting myself a nice sweater. I haven't made myself a sweater in over 2 years, so I want to make myself a sweater with the number 27 on it. And so I'm gonna end this vlog here, and at least I got one 5-star and one 2.5 star. So if you've read any of these books, let me know what were your thoughts. Also, I'm not using Goodreads anymore for some reason, so I'm on Fable now. I have a book club. It was crocheters who read first, and then I changed it to writers who read. And I want to start like having like a book of the month type of book club thing. So I've left my link down below, and feel free to check it out, and I'll be more happy to have you. So have a wonderful year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and I'll see you in another reading or writing video. Bye.